I just matched with my dead wife on Tinder. But before I could process the shock, she sent me a message. I found you first this time. I had been mindlessly swiping left for so long that I nearly skipped it. I wish I had. My wife Allison had been dead for 2 years, but there she was on Tinder, smiling at me in a photo I had never seen before. She looked older than she did when she passed. All the air left the room. I skimmed through the rest of the profile. No bio, just 3 more pictures of my dead wife, photos I had never seen. One of them had the Statue of Liberty in the background, even though Allison had never been to New York. Not that I knew of. The name was right. The age was right, as if she had just kept living past July 2020. But her location was 9 miles away. I swiped right. I didn't breathe again for 2 minutes. For the next 48 hours, I barely slept. No match, no message. I was ready to report the profile. Someone was impersonating my wife, editing photos that shouldn't exist. Then at 3:33 a.m., my phone lit up. I had a match. A message popped up. Hi. My stomach flipped. That was the worst thing anyone could say in this situation. I started typing, my fingers shaking. Who is this? Why are you doing this? Where did you get these pictures? My wife died 2 years ago. She had cervical cancer, you monster. No response. For another 24 hours, nothing. Then in the middle of the night, another message. Derek, I miss you. I'm sorry for what happened. I stared at my screen. Sorry for what happened. Allison died of natural causes. She didn't have anything to be sorry for. Was I supposed to believe my dead wife had decided to come back as a Tinder profile? Another message. Are you home? My breath caught in my throat. Before I could respond, another message. I'm outside. My blood turned ice cold. Something rattled in the kitchen. I jumped, my heart pounding, until I realized it was just the ice maker. My phone buzzed again. Let me in, please. My hands trembled. Someone was messing with me. But who would be this cruel? Before I could think, another message appeared. Never mind. And then, a second later, I got in. I heard my front door close. My body locked up. I stared at my bedroom door, frozen. My hands hovered over my phone, trying to type, but I didn't even know what to say. Another message came before I could figure it out. You're on Tinder too soon, Derry. My stomach dropped. Derry. No one else called me that. It was our thing. Footsteps crept up the hallway. They stopped right outside my bedroom door. A new message. You were supposed to mourn me, not try to fuck 23-year-olds on Tinder. Tears burned my eyes. I knew it was her. The way she punctuated her texts. The way she phrased things. Allison. My voice cracked. I'm sorry. I love you. I miss you. I've been sick to my stomach for 2 years, but I had to move on. My throat closed. I threw up most mornings for a year. I was wrecked. I couldn't work. I couldn't do anything. But I'm finally starting to put it together. Silence. I pressed my forehead against the wood of the door. I'm fucking sorry. Everything hurts. Every day. You're my only love. Forever. I could feel something standing just outside the door. Then I couldn't. Then I heard footsteps walking away. The front door opened and shut. I grabbed my phone. A new message waited for me. Okay. Goodbye. XO. My body went numb. I stumbled to the front door and looked outside. Nothing. I checked Tinder. Allison's profile was gone. I should have felt relief. And for a while I did. Until a few nights ago, I had just come home from a date with a 26-year-old I met on Tinder. We'd had a few drinks. Made out in my car. I was feeling good. I checked the app to look at her photos again. That's when I saw it. A new like. I had premium so I could see who it was. Allison. Same profile. Same photos. Only this time she was 1 mile away. I swiped right. Let's see where it goes. I stepped outside for work and crushed something under my boot. I lifted my foot and looked down. A robin. Dead. I barely had time to react before I spotted another bird. A fat little sparrow, lying lifeless at my feet. Then I saw more. A dozen dead birds scattered across my yard. This wasn't an accident. Allison's pet name was Birdie. I grabbed my phone and opened Tinder. This time I sent the first message. Who is this really? Why are you doing this? I've been through enough already. No response. I spent the longest workday of my life waiting for an answer. Nothing. That night I was numbly eating spaghetti carbonara, my go-to dinner. 5 ingredients. 15 minutes. Then my phone buzzed. I miss the smell of your carbonara. And it's me. I could tell you something only I would know. Before I could respond, another message. Your secret favorite song is All Too Well by Taylor Swift. My stomach clenched. I had never told another soul that. Another message. I miss you so much, Derry. You made my life special. I tried to hang on, You were the last thing I thought of, and it made me happy. I truly felt loved. I could feel your hand holding mine. I'm sorry I couldn't hang on. Tears hit my phone screen. I could still hear the rhythmic beeping of the heart monitor. The last thing I ever heard while holding her hand in that hospital bed. I took a deep breath and started typing. Allison, there's no way to put into words how grateful I am for the life we shared. I miss everything. I miss catching you watching me with those starry eyes. I miss the way you always sounded like you were telling a secret, even when you weren't. I miss watching your reflection on sunny hikes. I can't write anymore. I know you can feel what I feel. I hit send. She responded almost immediately. I have been there. The message sent a chill down my spine. Then another one. You know when you set your keys down, and then find them somewhere you swear you never put them. Or when you feel like you had 5 shrimp in your stir-fry, but now there are only 4. Have you ever felt warmer all of a sudden while crying on a rainy night? I sat frozen. I hadn't turned on the lights. The house was almost completely dark. I was crying into my untouched, congealed spaghetti, wondering if Allison was watching me right now, or if this was just the world's cruelest prank. Another message. I'll step away. I'm sorry for causing you grief. XO. I let that sit. It felt right, but something gnawed at me. The idea of Allison lingering over my shoulder, seeing everything I'd done since she passed, made my stomach turn. I grabbed my laptop, got in my car, and drove into town. I parked outside a grocery store. Then I started deleting. Old porn. A few flings I had since she died. It wasn't much, but I erased it all. Less than 20 minutes later, I was back home. Everything felt right again, until I reached for my bedroom door. A small pair of red underwear was wrapped around the handle. My stomach dropped. I knew exactly whose they were. She was small, bubbly, very drunk. I met her at a bar when I was out with some old high school friends. She was there with her own high school friends. One thing led to another. She must have thought she was being playful, leaving her underwear behind. I barely remembered tossing them somewhere in my closet. But now, they weren't in my closet. They were on my bedroom door handle. Panic hit me like a truck. I tried to think of a response, something to type back, but my body started shutting down. My thoughts slowed. My eyelids grew heavy. Every muscle turned sluggish. I felt drugged. I dropped to the floor, barely catching myself before I hit it hard. Lying there, struggling to stay awake, my phone vibrated in my pocket. I forced my hand to move, pulling it out. A message from Allison glowed on my home screen. I'm glad I put what I did in your dinner when you weren't looking. After what I found when you left. Guilty. We loved each other, Derry. Why did you do things like that? I barely had time to process the words before my body gave out. Everything went black. I woke up on the floor, hours later. Groggy, but alive. The first thing I did was check Tinder. Allison's profile was gone. I never found out why Allison drugged me. Maybe it was just to mess with me. Maybe it was revenge for whatever she found on my computer, my phone, or in my closet. I kept waiting for her to pop up again. Kept paying for the stupid Tinder premium account, hoping to see that she had liked me, but it never happened. Months passed. I kept waiting for something strange to happen in our house. It never did. The power went out once when someone hit a pole down the street. That was it. Life went back to normal. One of the girls I had casually talked to on Tinder before Allison's profile shattered my world. Phoebe stepped into my life. We started seeing each other regularly. Always in public. Always at her place. I avoided bringing her to my house for as long as I could. Thought about telling her why. Thought about scrapping that idea. It was too insane. Months passed without a sign of Allison. I finally felt safe having Phoebe over. I invited her for dinner. I had hyped up my 5-ingredient, 15-minute carbonara, and she wanted to try it. She also wanted to try this red wine I had raved about. Phoebe and I hadn't slept together yet, but the vibes were there. This was going to be the night. I wanted everything to be perfect. That meant deep cleaning my place. I was clearing out a coat closet when I found Allison's old MacBook. It was stashed on a high shelf, under board games I hadn't touched since she got sick. Just seeing those games brought back memories. Cozy nights on the couch. Blankets. Drinks. Laughter. I felt warmer just thinking about it. The MacBook distracted me. I sat on the couch and opened it. I knew it had her favorite photos and videos. I skimmed through thousands of them, fighting back tears. Everything was fine. Sad, sentimental, but fine. Until I noticed something. A lot of bare skin. Allison's bare skin. I had never seen these photos before. At least I didn't think I had. She was nearly naked in all of them. Not pornographic, but seductive. Classic, tasteful, old-school Playboy vibes. They were taken in a fancy hotel room I didn't recognize. Through a window, I saw a cityscape I couldn't place. My stomach tightened. Who took these? I flipped through them, examining every detail, like a detective. Then I found the last photo, and it stopped my heart. Allison, sitting naked on the bed, holding a sign in cursive that read, "I love you, Derry." Oh, crisis averted. Back to cleaning. And yet, something gnawed at me. Was that last picture a last-minute cover-your-ass move? A fail-safe in case I ever found them. I should mention, Allison and I weren't perfect. Neither of us were the most stable people. She had a rough childhood. Mom had her at 19. Dad split early. He drifted in and out of her life, supposedly living on a boat in Florida. Her mom did fine. No abusive boyfriends. No drugs. Always working. But her extended family was another story. They were trouble, and none more than her sister Sophia. Sophia was a dark cloud that always showed up at the worst times. Always brought sketchy people. Always ruined things. Allison had her own struggles. Nothing officially diagnosed, but she swung between numb depression and manic anger. She didn't let it hold her back. She finished college, kept decent jobs, met and married me, and I had my own issues. On paper, I had the picture-perfect middle-class upbringing, but underneath that, a dull, simmering darkness, contagious anger, depression. Sometimes our issues made us stronger. We leaned on each other. We understood each other. Other times we couldn't. The blowout fights were epic. The worst one happened 3 months before our wedding. I can't even remember what started it. We screamed at each other all night. She called off the wedding. All our friends and family had saved the dates pinned to their fridges, and I said the cruelest thing I've ever said to anyone. I told her she didn't really mean anything to me, that she was just convenient, that she was like a movie I watched on an airplane, and would forget about the second it ended. It was a lie. A cruel, calculated lie, meant to hurt her as much as she had hurt me. The wedding was off for a few days, but we never told anyone. We patched things up. By the time we walked down the aisle, we were solid. I was thinking about all of this when I was on top of Phoebe in my bed. I wasn't really there. I was going through the motions, waiting for it to be over. Phoebe didn't notice. We laid in bed afterward, talking. Eventually, she asked if she could take a shower. She went to the master bathroom. I did what I always did after sex with Allison. I walked naked through the house to use the guest bathroom. Just habit. Thinking back, I swear I noticed something off in the kitchen. A moisture in the air, the smell of gas, but my brain didn't put the pieces together. I walked right past it. Back in the master bathroom, Phoebe asked me to join her in the shower. I did. The water was warm, comforting. It must have been 45 seconds before the boiling water hit. It poured over the shower ledge, scalding Phoebe's back. She screamed, reached behind her, clawing at her skin, and I watched it happen. I watched her soft, wet skin slough away under her own fingertips. Then it hit my shoulder. Agony, searing pain, the smell of burning flesh under my nose. I yanked Phoebe out, wrapped her in a towel. She sobbed in my arms as I frantically scanned the bathroom for whoever had done this. No one was there, but something was, written in the fog of the bathroom mirror. I watched everything. Phoebe thankfully accepted that the shower incident was an issue with the water heater. She apparently didn't see Allison's message on the bathroom mirror. She understandably walked away from our relationship after that night, and I didn't fight to keep her around. I needed a break from anything intense anyway. A few weeks later, I woke in the middle of the night to the sound of a baby crying. I knew where it was coming from, and I knew why it was there. Allison wanted nothing more than to have a baby, and I wanted to give that to her. We tried shortly after getting married, and it didn't take long to get pregnant. She knew it was a girl. We painted the guest room pink. We bought girls' baby clothes and a pink crib. We set it up in the guest room even though there were still 6 months to go. We were never happier. Allison miscarried. That's all I'm capable of writing about the situation. We kept trying after that with no success, which actually led to the discovery of her cervical cancer. The most painful part of me couldn't help but wonder if the cancer came from or had something to do with the miscarriage. After the diagnosis, we just tried to enjoy each other. We didn't get much longer together. I walked to the closed door of the guest room and could hear the baby crying on the other side of it. I gave it a second, wallowing in the pain of it all before my anger with the world boiled over inside me, and I threw the door open. My brain was prepared to see the room empty, the way it had been since the miscarriage. Instead, I saw that pink crib in the far corner, and I saw Allison standing there in front of it, her back to me, dressed in her sheer nightgown, the fabric barely clinging to her lithe frame. It broke my heart to see that she was looking down at nothing in the crib. The sound of the baby crying stopped. It was replaced by Allison's familiar, staggered whimper. I was no longer scared. I was sad. Allison spun around, and I saw her face for a breath, her pale green eyes dancing across my vision for just a second. She sent a piercing scream at me. Then she was gone, and I was alone. Worse yet, I felt something walk past me while I was standing there in the doorway, numb. Was it her? I cleaned out all of the baby stuff the next day and donated it. We had hung on to it in hopes that we would have another one, but that was never going to happen. Among the baby items was a box of congratulations cards from when we told our family and friends that we were expecting. A card from Allison's cousin, Laisha, triggered my memory. Laisha was a medium. The skeptic in me wanted to write Laisha off, but I hadn't told her I was coming, and she had photos of Allison and me already waiting on her working table in her living room, which smelled like stale weed. She told me she knew I was coming. Allison hadn't contacted her, but she had felt her presence in the weeks before. Laisha explained that at some point in their family's history, Allison's bloodline had been cursed. It seemed that even those who weren't plagued by internal demons met tragic ends, fatal car accidents, brain tumors, heart attacks at a young age. Even Allison, despite trying to fight it, was dragged down into darkness. Laisha comforted me by explaining there was nothing I could do for Allison. I had done the best I could by giving her love while she was alive. She held my hand while she said this. I told Laisha about what had been happening with me and Allison. She took a long hit off a vape after apologizing for doing so, shook her frizzy hair into her face, and squeezed my hand, impossibly hard for someone so small. Laisha explained that when Allison died, her family's dark energy infected her as she passed over. That darkness was now pushing her toward me. She also explained that the darkness may have lived in the cancer that killed her, affecting her from its first sprout, getting into her brain, creating that anger that hurt our relationship. She insinuated something about the miscarriage, but stopped herself. Ghosts are souls that feel unresolved, she explained, and demons can act like parasites, using those lingering souls to get back into the world of the living. That may have been what was happening with Allison. Laisha said the only way to start keeping Allison's shredded spirit from consuming me was to get rid of everything that was hers, physically and digitally. I didn't want to do it. She assured me it was the only way. She also said I had to get rid of the tattoo Allison gave me. What? Laisha gave me a mirror and showed me the tiniest little letter A etched in black ink behind my left earlobe. I remembered a scab and pain there just after the boiling water incident in the shower. I had written it off as part of the healing process and had never looked behind my ear. Allison must have given it to me while I was sleeping. Laisha also insisted I move out of the house. I agreed and moved in with my parents. I went back to the house and started cleaning out all of Allison's things. I donated as much as I could to charity. The last piece was my wedding ring. I stopped wearing it after a year, but kept it in my nightstand. This was the one recommendation I didn't obey. I didn't get rid of it. I put it in a safe deposit box. I couldn't bear to let it vanish from the world. At my parents' house, I found peace for a while. A week of no disturbances. I finally slept. I started eating again. Then, one night, I heard her voice coming from the echo dot in the living room. At first it was faint, like music. Then I realized she was whispering our wedding vows. The candle beside the device flickered with her words. Then, in unison, a dozen other candles in the room ignited, casting a pale light all around me. For a moment, I saw her standing there. Then a gust of wind knocked the candles over, and she was gone. The candle in front of me fell onto a framed photo of our wedding day. The picture set ablaze in an instant. Frozen, I heard Allison's voice switch from vows to sobbing. The cries grew louder, drowning out everything else. Then my mother screamed behind me. The flames built around us. My mother yanked me out of the room. We barely escaped. The fire department arrived in time to save the house with only moderate damage. I went to see Leisha immediately. She was waiting for me, coffee in one hand, a freshly killed bowl of weed in the other. She pulled me inside and grabbed my face. "Allison loved you. She would never do this to you," she said. "But this is no longer her. I had to let go of that wedding ring, and I had to let go of her."